writing a good email, a really professional email, it can be tough, right? It's a skill. It
Everyone
really
has
is.
a skill, yeah.
And it can make a big difference in your career, too.
Oh,
So we're going to deep dive into this
yeah,
today.
sounds good.
We've got a resource that breaks it all down, all these little email etiquette essentials.
Kind of like a cheat sheet.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
For awesome emails.
Yes, you don't have to think too much, right?
Exactly. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. One of the first things they highlight is the importance of greetings,
Right.
like how you start the email.
Mm.
You know, it seems like such a small thing,
It is.
but it really sets the tone.
Yeah, that first impression really matters, especially when you're talking about work stuff, professional context.
Mm.
This guide we're looking at, it says, "Dear name
Mm.
is the way to go for formal emails," when you already know the person.
Right.
But what about when you're emailing someone new and you don't actually know their name?
Then it's to whom it may concern time.
Exactly. Covers all the bases. And then there's that one. I hope this email finds you well. It's friendly. It's nice. But I kind of wonder if it's a bit overused these days.
I see your point.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better to save that one for people you've already emailed back and forth with a bit.
Yeah, I think so.
But sometimes you got to be super efficient. Get right to the point.
For sure. And they talk about that too, starting straight off with something like, "I am writing to inquire about," that sort of thing. But they make a really good point. If you're going to do that, your subject line has got to be super clear.
Totally. Like no messing around.
Exactly. It's got to set the context straight away.
Speaking of subject lines, I'd love to hear more about how to write a really good one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first thing anyone sees, right?
It is.
So it's got to grab their attention.
Yeah. You need something that grabs their attention, tells them what the email's about.
Right, exactly.
Actually, I'm a little surprised this guide doesn't go into more detail about subject lines.
Interesting.
I think they could have done more with that, It's a whole topic in itself, really. But from what I've seen, a good subject line should be short and sweet, specific, and tell people what you want them to do, if you can.
Action-oriented, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on. What about the body of the email?
The main part.
Yeah. What are some of their key phrases?
Okay, well, one that stood out to me was, "Please let me know if you require any further information." Sounds simple, right?
It does.
But it's actually pretty strategic.
Oh, how so?
Well, think about it. You're offering to give more info.
Right.
So you're being helpful, but you're also kind of subtly saying, "Hey, I know my stuff."
It does do that, yeah.
It encourages back and forth and builds a bit of trust.
I like it.
Yeah.
I also noticed they talk about how to phrase requests politely.
Yes.
It's so easy to sound demanding in an email, but they recommend saying something like, "I would appreciate it if you could."
Right. Instead of just saying, "Do this."
Exactly. It's so much better.
It is. That little change in the wording makes a big difference. It's almost like you're appealing to their better nature, to be helpful.
Totally. And then, of course, if you're attaching files, you got to use that classic line, "For your convenience, I have attached documents."
Oh, for sure. Anything that
Where-
makes it easier, right?
Exactly. Smooth sailing. Now, what about the closing?
The closing, the grand finale.
People often rush it, but it's your last chance to leave a good impression, isn't it?
It is.
I always go back to the classics. Thank you for your time and consideration. Can't go wrong with that.
True, true. But what about after that? You could add something like, "Looking forward to your response," especially if it's something that needs a reply quickly. It kind of gently nudges them along, without being too pushy.
Yeah, I like that.
Right.
And then there's the whole best regards versus sincerely thing.
Yes.
It's interesting how those little differences can signal different levels of formality.
Definitely. Best regards is definitely more formal, more businesslike. Sincerely can be a little warmer, friendlier.
Okay, so we've talked about the good stuff. Now, what about the bad stuff? The stuff to avoid at all costs.
The pitfalls.
I've definitely made my share of email blunders.
Oh, we all have. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is being too casual, especially with someone they haven't emailed before.
Yeah.
Like, imagine getting an email from a potential client or even your new boss, and they start with, "Hey, what's up?"
Oh, gosh.
You'd probably think twice about working with them, right?
Definitely.
Yes.
It's all about reading the room, or I guess reading the email inbox.
It-
And then there's tone, which can be so hard to get right in writing. It's easy to sound, well, a bit meaner than you intended.
It is. One thing they recommend, which I think is great, is to reread your email before you hit send.
Yeah.
And think, if I got this email, how would I feel?
That's such good advice. It's so easy to forget that there's another person on the other end.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's proofreading.
Ugh, yes. Typos.
Typos, grammar mistakes, instant red flag, right?
Makes you look unprofessional in a second.
Totally. Oh, and another thing to avoid is writing these massive rambling emails. Nobody has time to read all that.
It's true. Be concise.
Respect people's time. Get to the point.
Exactly. So I guess what we're saying is clarity, keep it concise, and think about the person you're emailing.
Nicely put. It's about using email to build good relationships, get your message across clearly, and, well, get what you need from the email in the first place.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this email etiquette deep dive, I'm curious, what was your biggest takeaway, something that you'll start using today?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's that tip about rereading the email and thinking about how the other person would feel. Sometimes I can be a little too quick to hit send.
It's easy to do. I think I'm going to focus on keeping my emails super concise. No more rambling. What about you, listener? What email tip are you going to try today?
Yeah, let us know.
Until next time.
See you then.